Hello, my name is Dustin Anderson. I'm the Vice President of Construction and Real Estate for Sage. Today we have the pleasure of welcoming you to a webinar called The Future of Construction Technology. We're going to learn how the cloud can help transform your construction financials. With us today are two very special guests. Our first guest is Dan Miller. He's the Senior Vice President of Product for Sage Intacct. He's been very instrumental in the development of this incredible platform. Our second guest is Stejskal. He works for Sage Construction as well, and he's the Customer Experience Director. We're going to go ahead and get started with Dan. And Dan, I have a question for you. A lot of people are talking about the cloud. They have been for quite some time. But we know that with Sage Intacct, this is a true multi-tenant native cloud tool. Dan, can you help us understand that?
Sure, Dustin. I'd be happy to. You're right. There is a lot of confusion around the term cloud. Enough so we recently partnered with one of our analyst firms, Mint Jutris, to take a look at this in more depth so we can look at what multi-tenancy really looks like and the value of that. There's more detail about this if you're interested at the Sage Intacct blog at blog.sageintacct.com. But the basics are, from our perspective, really looking at the value for a customer from the economics or cost considerations perspective, what you get in terms of innovation, and what you get from a growth and growth perspective as well as for distributed environments, and then also security, risk, and business continuity related issues. There's real value in that. Sage Intacct has been built as a multi-tenant cloud application from the very beginning. It was designed for this environment. And so here are a couple of the key considerations. So from an economic perspective, there are many benefits. First of all, it's about the level of scale that can be provided for our customers. Unlike a client server system or a hosted system, customers run on essentially the same architectural design behind the scenes. We're able to provide customers the usage they need or the scale that they need as their needs increase, as they are growing. They don't have to worry about provisioning specific computing equipment or thinking about their infrastructure. We're able to scale that out for them. As well as providing some systems behind the scenes that would potentially be cost prohibitive for many businesses. The second area is really around innovation. Businesses, as long as they're thriving, are going to evolve. A business is going to change how it goes to market. They're going to change what they need from their ERP system. And as we can attest to from the Intacct perspective, we're able to keep pace and stay ahead of our customers because we're thinking about our customer success, not just trying to sell the next license. We're looking at what's going to make our customers successful. Just as one example, every year we have 4 major releases, and each of those releases has approximately 50 new features in it. Those features are designed to help customers be more successful, to help them make their businesses grow and be able to thrive. We're able to work with customers to build those out in a way that allows for them to automate more processes with each new release. So you're not waiting for an implementation project to come out somewhere down the road. It's something you're going to get automatically with each of those new releases. The third area is really about helping customers be able to grow. I mentioned a little bit about scalability, but we're thinking ahead of what our customers need. Just as this is true for most SaaS companies, but we really think about how do we make sure that our system is going to scale ahead of customers' needs. We look at what a customer is using today, but they may have peak loads that they need to be able to serve. Maybe they do all of their billing at the end of a period, or maybe they have close processes that are more time intensive. We can build out scale to handle of those things ahead of our customers. And then also, as businesses grow, they often go from a single location to multiple locations, possibly spread across the globe. And as they look at that, we're able to allow for that, and all they need is a web browser. And the last area that I want to just touch on is really about security, risk, and business continuity. In that area, we think about building ahead of what our customers need, thinking about building in redundant systems, full backup solutions, disaster recovery solutions. And these are done in a way where there's no additional fee to our customers. They're done in a way where they happen behind the scenes and that customers really don't have to worry about those. So those are just a few of the highlights about multi-tenancy.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. As I've gotten closer to Sage Intacct, I just can't believe the quality and the amount of content that actually comes out with each of those quarterly releases. It's really something else. So one of the concepts that I've heard a lot about is this concept of dimensions. It seems to be at the core of Sage Intacct. Can you help us understand what exactly dimensions are?
Yeah, Dustin, you're right. Dimensions are a core concept for Sage Intacct. They really simplify your chart of account structure and make transactional coding really a lot easier and straightforward for our users. But most importantly, they provide a way to provide deep insight for businesses. You see some examples of what dimensions are on the slide, but the dimensions are really a way of capturing the things that matter to a business, the business drivers, as a part of the normal transaction capture process. As a part of that transaction capture process, you're able to, as you do this coding, you're essentially capturing what you want to be able to create a P&L-able view and create metrics around for each of those different dimensional values. So here are a couple of examples. So there's one that's pretty simple. You might want to be able to create a P&L by location or a P&L by department. But what about a builder who's looking about building out their performance against different cost codes? You can get a P&L level view for each cost code, just as another example. You can also, you may want to create performance-based metrics for your projects. And you may also want to be able to look at how you include those into dashboards or reports. Well, Sage Intacct provides that natively within the system. As part of this transactional coding capability, we express that into our reports and our dashboarding, which provide for those capabilities.
That's great, Dan. I think that actually tees up a question for Dennis later about specifically how we can leverage these dimensions in construction. So as technology evolves, so does the role of the CFO, or in construction we also call them construction financial managers. Sage has done a lot of work on the evolution of the CFO from 1.0 to 2.0 to 3.0. What is Sage Intacct doing to support this evolution?
Well, Dustin, one of the things that we do at Sage Intacct is we partner very closely with our customers to understand what's going on for them. Not just how they're using the product. It's about understanding the role that they play, the role that the finance team plays, the role that the CFO plays within their organization. And one of the changes that we've been seeing is an evolution, as you described, the 1.0, 2.0, 3.0 kind of role. It's evolving it really has been evolving over the last couple of decades. Really what we've been seeing is a transition from being focused on a historical point of view, looking at making sure that books were captured and closed accurately, providing an accurate view of what has happened, and as well as also being compliant with any kind of audit requirements. But then that's kind of changed. That moved into a mode where the tools that were used to do that got sophisticated enough, and Intacct was really focused on doing that. We were enabling customers to be able to understand what's going on now, being able to look at what's happening today and making decisions about what their business needs to do in real time about today. But what we see happening is a transition to where it's not just about today, it's about what's happening into the future. And we call this CFO 3.0, our Finance 3.0. This is where we're moving to a model where instead of looking backwards or looking at just today, to a model of having continuous accounting continuous trust and continuous insight. This continuous idea is really powered by this idea that with SaaS computing systems, there's a vast amount of computing power that we can apply to particular problems. Rather than having the finance team spend time manipulating spreadsheets or doing data entry, they're able to move to a higher value role. The finance organization is able to come alongside the rest of the business, create a unique perspective on what's going on in the business. So they're a focal point for where all things kind of come together. That insight provides them the ability to be advisors for the rest of the business as to what kinds of decisions are going to make that business successful. And that computing power that we can apply allows for that to take place. This is already happening. We see with our customers that about 70% of all transactions are already being created through our open API. So that means transactions are coming in electronically through other computing systems. That means no data entry for those transactions. So customers are already able to focus on the exceptions rather than the rule of the day-to-day creation of transactions. And we're working on ways to further that, to be able to eliminate even more of that with our focus.
Dan, that's just really cool. It's part of what makes this so exciting when we think about this from a construction perspective is the platform that Sage Intacct has developed really is limitless in terms of what we can ultimately do with it. So, let's talk about that. Sage Intacct does serve a number of customers in a number of different industries. So why bring Sage Intacct into construction?
Yeah, Dustin, it's been part of our plan for quite some time to be able to serve the construction industry. Over a decade ago, we delivered our first solution to serve project-based businesses. It's been a part of this, this plan we've had to be able to extend those capabilities more deeply so that we could serve companies that have more complex project needs, like construction companies. And we got really excited when Sage and Intacct joined forces. We came together, and we, between the cloud expertise that the Sage Intacct team brings and the deep domain expertise that Sage has in construction, it really enabled us to come together in a way that I think is unique. We, about 18 months ago, really started working on the project in earnest, and in March, we launched publicly the new solution at ConExpo. We are super excited about being able to come alongside construction companies and be able to create solutions for these kinds of businesses.
Yeah, Dan, I echo that. We are so excited to be working closely with Sage Intacct. The platform you guys have developed is just phenomenal. It creates endless opportunities. So we're going to transition to Dennis Stejskal, but please hold on tight, Dan. I really appreciate your time. We're going to do a little Q&A at the end of this, so we'll circle back to you in a minute. But I'm going to transition to Dennis Stejskal. Dennis, so Dan talked about dimensions and their power. Can you give us a couple of examples as to how this might relate to construction companies?
Dan's list of dimensions included many that apply to most contractors. Now I'm going to talk about three of them: locations, projects, and customers. Analysis of project profitability by these dimensions can provide different insights into your operations. Do you have certain customers that are always more profitable than others? What are they doing on the Dallas projects as compared to the ones in Houston? They're always much closer to their profit targets. Let's take a look. As data flows through the system, it is tagged with these different dimensions. Once tagged, they can be used with the Intacct dashboards. This dashboard includes all the projects. Notice the information is presented in two different ways. Across the top of the page are called performance cards, a great way to present different KPIs. Notice on the monthly cards, the ones on the right, how they provide visual cues to how well this month compares to last month. They even show the previous month's comparison, 30% profit margin this month compared to 13% last month. We're having a really good month. The other part is basically a simple P&L by project. Projects can be shown individually or grouped in some logical manner. Here we are showing just a list of all the projects with their individual profitability. Across the top of the page, you will notice 3 filter boxes. My dashboards are set to provide an as-of date, a location filter, and a project filter. Let's explore. On this screen, I use that middle filter to select all the offices tied to our GC work. Notice the list of jobs displayed as well as the performance cards were quickly refreshed with the numbers related to the GC offices. This is an easy way to quickly compare the performance of one location to another. But what if we want to quickly see more detail from last month? By changing the as-of date and refreshing, you can easily see all the project detail for last month. Notice the blue highlights. Each of these provides some sort of jump to additional detail. Through these links, you can often drill down to source entry documents. Earlier, I looked at a cross-section of all my GC locations, but let's say I wanted to look at a particular location. Just select the desired location, and the job for that location comes into play. Dallas ended up with a real strong March, but as you look a little closer, I actually see that the La Quinta job really did well, but the other one not as much. So by drilling into the details, quite often you can discover more pertinent, meaningful information. In good times and in bad, we all know that one bad job can impact our overall performance. We have all heard that you might be able to get a small margin increase as a result of great execution, but the downside risk is always greater. Job selection during the bidding process is critical. What types of jobs are you performing well on? These next few examples show how we can review the jobs based on different job attributes. For example, type of project or project manager. Notice this view is showing all hotel projects. You can qualify this further by only looking at closed jobs or those jobs that you flag to be in the data set for your analytics.
That's great, Dennis. So you said that we can actually look at this even by project manager?
Yes, Dustin. Project manager, of course, is an attribute linked to every single job. So let's look at a profitability by your project managers. In this example, we're looking at project manager Sanford and how well he is doing. And with a click of a button, we could switch to another project manager and see how he is performing. And of course, charts and graphs. The financial data can also be presented through different visualization tools like you see here. Dimensions can help you more effectively analyze your project's profitability.
That's great, Dennis. I just love the power of dimensions within construction. So how does Sage Intacct in general, how does it help get a true picture of the job?
Dustin, it gives us full visibility into the project from all perspectives. This dashboard provides high-level visibility into the different types of numbers for your projects. It presents the revenue side of the project via the contract amount, total billed, and percent billed columns. It presents the cost through the project estimates, commitments, total cost, and percent spent columns. And of course, your profitability position showing you estimated and actual gross profit and project margin information. All of this providing a holistic view of the financial side of the project. Again, notice the blue drill down areas. This can take you into additional levels of detail, even back to the source entry document. For example, from the commitment column, I can drill into a purchase order or a subcontract. Notice how the work breakdown structure of project cost code and cost type is available for the line items. Notice in the middle portion of the screen, multi-currency exchange rate data is also captured. This is an example of a revenue contract containing the schedule of values. From the financial contract, you can drill down and see the schedule of value breakdown in the bottom of the screen and how retainage can be controlled by line item. Screens throughout the Intacct Construction solution now have these construction required fields dealing with the job work breakdown structure as well as the industry fields like retainage.
Thanks, Dennis. I really think that those screenshots that you're sharing there from the product help showcase just the power of Sage Intacct and how it can benefit the construction industry. But one of the other things that Dan talked about was this API-first development, the platform that Sage Intacct has built. How does that help our construction industry?
Yeah, Dustin, within the construction industry, there's been billions of dollars spent on the development of construction technology. We at Sage firmly believe that no single technology provider can provide solutions that meet all of their customers' technology needs. We want to provide choices to our customers. We want our customers to pick the technology solutions that best meet their needs. One of the strengths of the Intacct solution is its ability to integrate with external software. Proof of this is the Sage Intacct Marketplace shown here. Our marketplace partners provide great extensions to our core solutions. For years, Sage Construction Real Estate has established relationships with leading industry technology providers. We are bringing these partners to the Sage Intacct Marketplace. Here are 3 partners that we are currently working with. For the commercial construction market, industry-leading Procore. We have close to 1,000 companies integrating with Procore with our Sage 100 contractor and our Sage 300 construction and real estate products. The Intacct integration is even going to be better because of the strong Intacct integration platform. For the residential market, industry-leading Hyphen Solutions. The Hyphen solution provides a community for the residential home builder, the residential suppliers, and the residential subcontractors. Our Intacct home builders will be able to tie into this community with the Intacct integration. Many contractors self-perform. Workforce Go is a human resources management and payroll platform. We have integrated this solution into the Intacct offering.
So Dennis, you mentioned Procore. Can you expand a little bit on what that integration will look like?
Like I mentioned earlier, we've had long-established integrations and relationships with Procore. Our experience to date has basically given us the ability to take what we've done, learn, and make it better. This screen here illustrates many of the touch points and integration points between the 2 products. Cost codes, cost types, vendors, companies, project data, estimates, budgetary data, committed cost data, the whole change management process. The screen illustrates a lot of those touch points. The arrows in the middle, of course, is the flow of the data. You'll notice in some cases we've got data flowing from Sage Intacct to Procore. In other cases, we've got it flowing from Procore to Sage Intacct, and in other cases, we actually have it flowing both ways. We're very, very excited about this integration.
All right, thank you, Dennis. And we're going to welcome Dan back as well. We're going to turn to question and answer. So please enter questions via chat if you haven't already done so. And we'll give it just a couple of seconds here, and we'll start answering some of the questions that you guys have posed. So we do have a couple of great questions that have come up. We're going to go ahead and answer a few of these. One of the questions we had was just about the term multi-tenant. Dan, can you help us understand what multi-tenant means?
I can. So multi-tenancy is a way of describing the architecture of the computing system. It means that multiple users or multiple companies are managed centrally so that they benefit from the capabilities of that shared system. It allows us to scale the solution to meet customers' needs. One of the things I talked about was how multi-tenancy really helps customers with having a scalable system ahead of their needs. Multi-tenancy provides us with the tools to be able to provide the needs for many different customers all at the same time.
Thanks, Dan. I appreciate that answer. Dennis, one for you. Can you set access levels in the program so that a project manager can only see certain places of information or pieces of information related to their projects and not company-wide expenses not related to them?
Yes, you can, Dustin. There's a variety of ways to do it. As you build dashboards, for example, you can restrict who's got access to what dashboards. You can restrict who's got access to what entities. So there's a variety of ways to restrict viewing of the data.
Great. And Dennis, another question for you. Does Sage Intacct have its own payroll?
No, Sage Intacct doesn't have its own payroll. The Workforce Go that I spoke of earlier actually has been integrated with Intacct for many, many years. And what we've done with them is develop the relationship even further to enact it to drive a construction payroll.
Great. Dan, a question for you. Is Sage Intacct using artificial intelligence or any machine learning?
It is. We actually just released some capabilities in our general ledger for our early adopter program, which means that it's in use with a smaller number of customers as we're rolling it out. In the general ledger, it allows for us to detect anomalies. So, looking for miscoded journal entries. We've done some of the research that we've done. We found that customers, would report that somewhere between 10 and 20% of their manually created journal entries had an error in them. And so we built this technology to help find those anomalies and be able to correct them proactively. And so we're finding that, in this early adopter program, we're finding that that's actually working out quite well. We also have a new capability that's coming out. The target is this fall. In managing AI-assisted timesheets and helping capture how people are spending their time.
That's great. Guys, we've got a bunch of questions coming in, so we'll get to as many as we can, but I just want to let the audience know that if we don't respond to your question live, we will reach out to you afterwards to address that. So let's see, another question here. So Dennis, a question for you. It says, can you use just the Sage Intacct platform for construction without Procore or other second-party tools?
Yes, the Sage Construction platform or the Intacct Construction platform will stand alone for a construction company. We sell to many types of contractors, developers, residential, and many of those companies basically will not use Procore for a variety of reasons. And so it is being built and engineered to totally be standalone-ish from that perspective. But its focus is financial, and the components that we get out of an operational system like a Procore, an eSub, or things like that, is they bring some degree of financial to the table, but they also bring non-financial things like submittals and drawing logs and RFI logs and other types of project collaboration. So our focus with it is definitely financial.
Yeah, that construction financial manager piece is really powerful. Let's see, Dan, I'm going to actually ask you this one. There's a couple around the same line, and that is how much business volume or what size company is Sage Intacct a good fit for?
We serve customers from a pretty broad range of companies, companies that have a fairly small volume to fairly large. The big thing is really more about the complexity of the business and the team that's running the solution. It's designed for professional accountants, so not a bookkeeper. It's designed around having a professional finance team that knows accounting. If you've got that kind of a team, there's a fairly good chance that you could benefit from the capabilities of Sage Intacct because you know what you're trying, is designed around that kind of usage pattern and will scale with you as your organization grows.
Hey, I think that scale piece is really the powerful piece of it, is that you can start as a fairly small organization and run this, being $1 billion a year in annual revenue or greater. So it's powerful from that standpoint. Let's see, either one of you gentlemen, maybe we'll start with Dennis. Dennis, you showed some dashboards. What type of skills are required to build those dashboards? Does it take a programmer?
Well, I built a lot of the ones we saw there, and I'm definitely not a programmer, so it doesn't. It takes an understanding. You have to understand if you want to do a gross margin, you have to know, well, how do I do a gross margin by hand? I always say that to people. If you could do it manually, you could do it here. So it's just, how do I group accounts? How do I group things? If I want to do a gross margin percentage, what do I divide by what? So you've got to have that understanding. But the use of the tool is not a programming language by any means. It's more of, this is the definition of what the calculation is or the layout is, but it's definitely not a programming language.
Well, great. Thank you both so very much for your time today. We are out at the end of our allotted time here, so we're going to go ahead and end this session. But we do have some great questions that we haven't had a chance to answer, so we will respond to the individuals asking those questions. And again, Dan, Dennis, great information today. Thank you so very much. Really pleased to share this information with the construction world. Take care now.
Thank you, Dustin.